Hello and welcome back to the Poetry Exchange. I'm Michael Schaefer.
And I'm Fiona Bennett. We've been away for a while. It's great to be back, and it's great to be back with some exciting news, which is that we're going to be able to bring you an episode a month on a regular basis. We've been working really hard behind the scenes to make sure that we've got everything in place to do that, and we've managed it, and here we are.
In the last few months, we've added some new members to the team. We've been really busy going around the country recording new exchanges. And for this one that you're going to hear now, we've recorded it in a public space, in the Waterstones in Canterbury as part of the Wise Words Festival, on the shop floor amongst the poetry books.
So you'll be hearing some new voices, John Prebble and Victoria Field, talking to our visitor about Love by George Herbert, the poem that's been a friend to Jonathan.
Live?
Great. Well, how lovely, and thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for asking me. It's an extraordinary sort of surprise. I don't think I've ever spoken about poetry in my life before. And this poem has been with me for a long time and has changed in meaning constantly through my life. So. Just to tantalise you a little.
Sounds really intriguing and wonderful. Would you like to read it?
Okay. Love bade me welcome, yet my soul drew back, guilty of dust and sin. But quick-eyed love, observing me grow slack from my first entrance in, drew nearer to me, sweetly questioning if I lacked anything. A guest, I answered, worthy to be here. Love said, you shall be he. I, the unkind, the ungrateful, oh my dear, I cannot look on thee. Love took my hand and smiling did reply, who made the eyes but I? Truth, Lord, but I've marred them, let my shame go where it doth deserve. And know you not, says love, who bore the blame? My dear, then I will serve. You must sit down, says love, and taste my meat. So I did sit and eat.
Do you remember how you first met?
Very clearly, yeah. I was 15, and I was going through a very religious phase of my life. I had a close friend who was a musician who was putting this to music. I had already heard Vaughan Williams's version of this. He wrote 5 mystical songs, one of which was this one. And this friend was doing another version, and I was instantly struck by both the kind of simplicity and the sort of, I suppose, the relevance to my own position then, and that sense of guilt and unworthiness and so on, and that sense of wanting a bigger answer, the sense at the time that religion was providing that, and the sense that there was a degree of humility in this man's work that attracted me, that sense of a combination of humility and a kind of visceralness to the relationship with religion that he expressed, both in terms of the very, very simple imagery of basically what was a lover, I felt.
Would you say it became an instant friend to you?
Yeah, an instant in the sense that through my life I'm not religious anymore and haven't been for some time. But through my life the words have kind of played and had taken on different meanings. They've had meanings to do with friendship, with sexuality, with meaning, with the increasing importance in my life of just the concept of love, those things, and so I would interpret it differently now, but the emotions are basically the same, I think. That tenderness, that idea, the just love took my hand, that still sends little shiver down me, that the sense of the physical, the sense of the intimate. It stays, yeah.
I was struck by you using the word visceral as your
Yes,
reaction to the poem.
Yeah. I mean, it is here. It is here rather than anywhere else. He said, pointing to his stomach.
To your stomach.
Yeah, and also the use of the word "my dear" really struck me then, and still does. That again, that sort of personal and somewhat intimateness of it. And I was really lucky. My sister, who died about 6 years ago, lived very near George Herbert's church in Salisbury, and she took me there shortly before she died. And somehow the tininess of the church expressed this same humility, the same simplicity. And even looking at the poem on the page, the sort of long shortness of the lines, the simplicity of the rhymes, and in a sense the simplicity of the message. It's all very simple and humble. It's not highfalutin.
Is there any particular line that speaks to you or spoke to you then?
I suppose so. I did sit and eat. I suppose the final line, and it sort of works. I think it works on an artistic level very, very powerfully because of its simplicity and because it touches fundamentals that, in my life I've kind of recognized, cut beneath culture, cut beneath difference, cut beneath the enormous difficulty in understanding another person's mind, that simplicity is beneath those things, or above, I don't know.
I want to spend some time with the word love in the poem, and the simplicity of that, but also just stepping inside that kind of love that's in the poem and what that's meaning to you. You just talk to us a bit more about love.
Well, I think first of all the personification of love. So I think in Herbert's terms, love was Christ, but the idea of love being a person, someone with whom one can relate and interact, and that love has that tender acceptance, that tender invitation, that humble approach that is both hugely attractive and never becomes ordinary, never becomes boring, never becomes expected. All those things that through life one may become disenamored with, love remains something that constantly surprises and constantly brings fresh ideas, fresh thoughts, fresh relationships, and freshness. And so, and that I think is best expressed in personifying it in some way, because all the way through, love took my hand. You must sit down, says love, and so on. All of those kind of references right through just make it something that is relatable to, rather than a abstract concept or philosophical ideal.
Yeah, I had a sense from what you were saying about love being very hospitable in a practical way, and that inviting someone to eat.
Yeah. No, I've been very, very lucky in my life. I lived in Africa for 6 years, and lived in Malaysia for a long time, lived in India, and everywhere there, the invitation to eat and the relationship around eating is central, and very. I want to use the word visceral again. It's not visceral in the sense your stomach is full, but actually emotionally very, very powerful, and always has this humility and tenderness attached to it. It's never like a banquet, a sort of formal banquet. It's always share my meat. That whole business of sharing, and somehow, especially with the poorest people, in almost a real sense, the poorer the people, the more generous and more humble and the more welcoming I've experienced.
Yeah, the love in the poem seems to want to serve in some way.
Yes. In fact, that's an interesting thing that struck me while I was reading it just now. Yes, my dear, then I will serve. And it's not absolutely clear who's saying that. Is that love or is that the receiver?
Which do you think?
Well, I think it's probably love, but it's not absolutely clear.
No, you're right. I always assumed it was love as well.
Yes, but and serve could mean actually serve the food or serve by agreeing to sit.
Yeah.
George Herbert was clever enough with words, I think, for that ambiguity to be planned. I have no idea, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
The extraordinary tenderness, gentleness of the voice of love in the poem, and not insistent, but just kind of, I'm guilty of dust and sin. I'm worthy to be here. I cannot look on thee. Who made the eyes but I?
But the idea of
You shall
sweetly
be
questioning, is and it's a really powerful putting together of two words, isn't it? Sweetly and questioning don't usually go together.
Is it a poem that you have shared with people in some?
Well, Cherry asked me last night. She said, "What are you going to do?" And I recited it to her. And she said, "Why did you choose that?" and when you said, "Would I come and do this?" This instantly, the whole poem came to mind. It was a kind of reflex action that it was there, and I didn't expect that. I was sort of unprepared, and in fact afterwards I thought, well, I could do that Shakespeare one, I could do the Wilfred Owen one, but they didn't cut the mustard for me to keep the food imagery going. Recently in Rwanda, I remember it struck me with some very religious Rwandans who were just lovely, absolutely everything I would think was best in humanity, and they invited me to eat, and I remember just thinking of the importance that I sat and ate with them and wanted to be associated with that kind of love. I remember it sort of bubbling to the surface there. So that's why I quite like the metaphor of it being a friend. That I'm old enough now to have friends that I've had for 60 years, and I might not see them for 20 years, and yet the moment they appear, the friendship is equal. It's not. You don't have to remake the friendship, and it's like that with this poem, I think.
What do you feel is a connection between the idea of love as you hold it and the idea of friendship as we've been talking about today?
I think the hope in friendship would be that it turned to love, that there is a degree of love there, but this kind of love that has a kind of purity to it would be the aim of a friendship. And in a sense, as I get older, I'm better at doing that, better at turning a friendship into love than I was when I was younger.
It seems there's an invitation in the poem to, come in and accept love the speaker of the poem is resisting
Yes,
to some
yes.
extent.
That's
That's
right,
yeah.
and that in a sense the things that make you resist are the sense of unworthiness and the sense of guilt that I've already spoken about, but also the sense of separation, the sense of distance. Not difficult to describe, but what I've been finding probably in the last 10 years or so is both that distance is very wide between myself and others and between every individual, but also very quickly narrowable through acts of love. And I don't call them acts of kindness, I call them acts of love in my mind, and that making that love as simple as this poem suggests is to me the beginning of the answer, of an answer.
I find the word worthy quite powerful there, and there seems to be something about acceptance that everybody is worthy to be at this table.
Yes, and somehow, I mean that kind of Christian idea of someone taking the blame, is a very powerful releaser of that sense of unworthiness. And I can't think of anything in any philosophy or any politics or any other mode of thinking that has that kind of power, which is always the power of religion, which is again one of those dilemmas that religions, bad as they can be in every context, have that power of the kind of global forgiveness, global acceptance, global concepts that have the potential to cut beneath culture and beneath age, beneath any of the divisions that we create.
I'm also thinking about, and I haven't thought of this before about this poem until today, about what might happen next from this poem, in the sense of someone has found his place at the table and what that might change in him.
Gosh. Well, in a sense, maybe it goes back to the beginning, and that sense of being that welcomer to other guests. That almost just coming back to the place where you started. T.S. Eliot sort of stuff. But if you feel accepted in that sense, if you've gone through the arguments and you feel, yeah, okay, it's all right, then of course you're liberated to share it with other people. I say, of course. I mean, that's where it's left me. That sense that okay, yeah, I can do this. I can make other people welcome. I can do everything I can to make people not feel guilty. I can do everything I can to make people feel that I love them. And that's a sort of agenda, agenda that the poem, I think, can set up for you.
Love. Love bade me welcome, yet my soul drew back, guilty of dust and sin. But quick-eyed love, observing me grow slack from my first entrance in, drew nearer to me, sweetly questioning if I lacked anything. A guest, I answered, worthy to be here. Love said, you shall be he. I, the unkind, the ungrateful, my dear, I cannot look on thee. Love took my hand, and smiling did reply, "Who made the eyes but I? Truth, Lord, but I have marred them. Let my shame go where it doth deserve." "And know you not," says love, "who bore the blame?" My dear, then I will serve. "You must sit down," says love, "and taste my meat." So I did sit and eat.
That was John Prebble with the gift reading of Love by George Herbert. Thank you to Jonathan for coming to visit us in Waterstones, and indeed for allowing us to share this beautiful conversation with you. And thanks to Ben Hales with all his amazing work, both with the music and the editing of the podcast. Without him, we really wouldn't be here with this new phase of work.
As we said earlier, we're going to be releasing a podcast every month. So if you haven't already subscribed, now is the time to do so. We've got some really great conversations lined up for you, some with people who may be more familiar to you than others. But for now, that's all for this month. Thank you for listening.